Like, now that neutral items don't fill up inventories all the way, I think they're a lot less, like, overpowered, kind of. Why am I not in more events? Because I'm not invited. That's basically it. I'm not as experienced at analysis at the pro level as a lot of other talent. Events are restricted a lot in terms of talent because Valve isn't giving very much money. So part of what you see now is 3-man panels consistently. But I have worked every ESL event for the last couple of years, so at least we got ESL. Do I want to start with neutral items? Are in the base? No, absolutely not. You should have to get them in the jungle. I think that's completely reasonable. Hey man, Kyle's played at TI. Kyle's a very talented player. He's not like top level pro or anything, but he's close enough that makes a great analyst. He's very good at talking, etc. I have more meaningful analysis. Sometimes yes, but lots of other times no. Jungle Venom is not good. I will first pick a response because it would get banned otherwise. And a Bat Rider. I'm not a little surprised about the Bat Rider, I guess. Partially, I've seen people with AAs ban Bat Riders is one thing. Because AA can't lane against Bat Rider, so that may be part of the reason that they're picking Bat. Bat Rider, you could argue, might also be good against IO combos because you can grab one of the two guys and pull them away. Ideally, the IO maybe. It also gives you a good setup for AA because it can guarantee a stun, which sets up a Ice Blast combo. AA's Ice Vortex complements Bat Rider really well because Bat Rider does all magic damage, so I like this a lot.
10 seconds remaining.
Most useless hero over? I don't know. Who's pretty weak? Juggernaut's win rate's better. Sven has a low win rate, but he's still being played in pros, so he should be fine. It's probably just players haven't adapted to his new item builds yet. How much do you watch versus play Dota to improve the fastest? The most important thing you can do is, like, you don't really need to, if by watching you mean watching pro games, you don't need to watch pro games really to get good at Dota, in my opinion. If you want to get good at Dota, the easiest thing to do is watch pro players from their player perspective play a hero that you want to be good at. But watching like 5v5 games from an observer's perspective doesn't help you get that much better at Dota. It just helps you see like a little bit of everything, so you kind of know what builds are correct and you know some strategy stuff, but executing that with your team is hard. So I think it's better if you want to get good at Dota quickly, pick like 5 heroes that you like or that you think you're good at a position and watch a pro player or a high level player play them from player perspective to understand why they do what they do and what skill and item builds they do. And then you should do that in your games. And if you're struggling and feel like it's not being very effective, you should maybe watch like a couple more perspectives on players to try to understand what they're doing differently, but also watch your own replays after you lose games and try to see like what things you did inefficiently, what things you need to make less mistakes on, and try to compare your farm levels to high level players and understand why you have less farm. It's not always because of your allies, for reference. I think that's the best way to get better quickly. Like Hinching a complete rework? Nah, probably not. So, second phase bans. They banned Razor, probably because it's good against Lifestealer. Faces Void, pretty decent against IO combos, because it's 2 heroes together usually. And then they banned Oracle, who saves against Bat Rider. And they banned OD, who also has a save. Both of these saves are decent against Ancient Apparition. The OD banished more so, because usually what happens is you jump in, disable one guy, and then Ice Blast comes through and you kill that guy. So having a defensive save can be pretty effective. Something like Shadow Demon Disruption can be good too, but nobody really picks that hero much right now. Nyx Assassin was banned first phase last game. Sorry about the yawns. But it's very good with like Meteor Hammer basically. Very good at setting up Bat Rider kills too. If there's fire damage on the ground, you just fight Carapace to guarantee your disable. Yeah, very good tower pusher. IO Lifestealer combo's fine, but they could also pick some other hero that combos well with it nicely. You feel like you get an aneurysm during team fights and lose track of your hero. It's possible. I mean, everybody's brains work faster or slower than others, so it might be some of it. Some might be just because you're not used to playing a lot yet. I genuinely believe that's a lot of it, is that some people just think faster and they can gather information a little bit quicker visually than others. So for people that aren't as predisposed to that, it's harder to be good at competitive video games, especially ones that get a little bit visually complex. A lot of it's also sounds. What informs me a lot in team fights actually is not necessarily visually what's all going on. It's more like how effective have my teammates use their skills and how effectively have the enemy team use their skills. Like if somebody uses, this is maybe higher level stuff, but if somebody uses their ultimate really badly, then I know in my head like, oh, this is going well for us. Or if we use our skills really good and Shane Frost is bouncing between two people, or Casca is bouncing between two people really close, or if we kill them really quick before they use their spells, then I know there's momentum. Like no, acknowledging momentum in team fights is really, really big for understanding what you should do next. Because once you get the momentum in your head, it allows you to unlock your something where you say, oh shit, we're winning, chase. Or oh shit, we're winning, I can be more aggressive and go. So it's like being able to process all this stuff really quickly is really important to being good at, being really, really good at video games typically. But there's probably other ways to do it that are more simple. Potentially playing more games just helps your brain normalize it and get better at processing it more rapidly. Like if you come back from a break and you watch a game or play games, then you're usually going to be slower, so no lifing it helps. You're ADHD inattentive type. I assume that would help, frankly, to be ADHD. I suspect that a lot of high level Dota players are ADHD because it helps your brain. Your brain works faster typically. But if I don't know, if too much information like fries out your brain or something, then maybe there's, I don't know all the designations, so I can't fully comment, but Spectre in the meta, she can be good. Some players that played it. Secret needs carry potential. You're right, but they'll pick it. You're definitely right that their lineup looks very damage limited for sure. Lina last pick here. Basically safe mid hero that can kind of work against just about anything. I like this lineup. Looks pretty safe. Iron Shell with Nyx Lifestealer is pretty good. Vacuum into Nyx Stun is great. Vacuum into Meteor Hammer is great. Vacuum into Lightstrike Array is great. Yeah, they need some like mid hero that can match okay against Lina. That also, no, I'm sorry, carry hero. This should be offlane Batrider probably. Maybe mid Timber. I mean, they can switch it up, but so Jug is the pick. Another hero that was seen as weak, but has been buffed a little bit. I think he got base damage. Did he get movement speed? I can't remember. They buffed his like base stats a little bit. So mid Lina, mid Bat against the Lina. And offlane Timber, because it just feels wrong not to put Timber against some strength melee hero like Lifestealer. Because Timber basically can't die, so the laning advantage you get from Timber is just a little too good to pass up probably. Do I know if many high level players are on Adderall or Ritalin? If they are, I'm sure it's prescribed, to be honest. Like that's part of the discussion about like medication for people that have ADHD is that you have to remember that people that have ADHD, their brains don't function as well in normal situations as average people. So for them, taking medication gets them up to par in some ways. So if they are taking it, it's nobody's business to ask basically, because I don't know, maybe there's some players that abuse it or whatever, but I don't know. It's not really, unless it's basically the responsibility of like an organizational body to do tests or make sure that people's shit is in order. And my understanding is nobody really does that very much, but my assumption is that people are not abusing drugs to become good at the game, because there's so much that it takes to be good at Dota that medication like that alone probably isn't enough of a jump to solve all of your problems. You know what I mean? And it's not like, I'm sure people are using caffeine a lot, either in food or drink form or pills or whatever in legal ways. There's a lot of ways to like improve your stability a little bit. So I have a feeling that what about other drugs like cocaine? I have no idea. I doubt it, honestly. It's not like they can like stop and take another line in the middle of their game, you know. I doubt. I personally doubt it. Dota players usually don't go that crazy at parties as well, is another thing. There's like not that much of a party mentality from my perspective, because I go to some of the after parties. I go to probably 75% of the after parties for events I go to. I don't know. I doubt it's that big of a problem, frankly. But who knows?
That was hot.
Nice.
So let's see how the laning stage goes. Oh shit, Shiva's hosting me. Hell yeah. I'm sure lots of pro players smoke weed sometimes, absolutely, but weed isn't performance enhancing after all. It's recreational. And in some of those countries that they're from, it's legal anyway, so. That's the other thing too, is that you have to go between countries. So, like, for example, if some tournament's in some country, like, you can't bring drugs with you, you'd have to find it locally. So I think it's, like, unlikely that players have to, like, get their illegal substances to a different foreign country consistently. It just seems, like, extremely unlikely that that's something that becomes a pervasive pattern unless unless, like, a lot of tournaments are in the same place. It just seems, like, also unrealistic to me. I think the reality is that all of these players fucking love playing Dota. They play Dota all the time, and they are just happen to be really good. I think it's extremely unlikely that there's a rampant drug abuse problem. Personally, maybe there's some players that do, but I just think it's unlikely.
Excellent idea.
Yeah, I ate a bunch of carbs right before I started streaming, so that's probably why I'm yawning. Alright, so it is a Jug versus Darkseer, which is conventionally very good. Man, his base damage is so much better than it used to. It used to be like right at 50 damage. He just got lots of regen, quelling Ironwood branches. He's just trying to zone Kuro and make sure that he doesn't contest for any of his last hits, because trading with Jug is not going to be a good time, because Kuro or Nyx Assassin does very little damage early on, which is why he's got Ironwood branches and Fairy Fires. GH playing safe lane with Miracle because he's the IO player. Puppy capturing the shrine. They're effectively tri-laning, which is interesting. Can lower damage by so much, actually. He's going to die, though. Did he have? No, he actually didn't have reactive armor yet. But it's kind of a cool dual lane, right? He can lower his enemy damage by 13% here, and then he can lower it by another 20. So that's why he was actually taking very little damage. And they chose to go on him. They got level 2. That's really what happened. It was the timing spike. We're going to try to punish and get any kills, but not going to happen. And they were about to hit 2. So basically what happened was they probably got a few more denies here. In fact, they got 0 denies, so maybe that's not what happened, but they hit 2 slightly earlier, so they went for the fight. They got a lot of heals too, because with open wounds, 35% of the damage that IO does as well gives him a heal, which then heals Lifestealer even more. He got fucked up that time though. Yikes. There's the buckler. Please explain what Darkseer is doing. Darkseer is basically... So basically, if Darkseer Iron Shells a creep, and it comes up to the wave, Like if he Iron Shells 2 creeps, it costs him like 200 mana. And then what happens is Jug moves over to it and uses Blade Fury, which makes him magic immune, and he just kills the whole fucking creep wave. And then Darkseer's like, fuck, I just spent 200 mana doing that. So what Darkseer's doing instead is saying, well, fuck leaning against this guy. I'm going to run all the way over here. I'm going to Iron Shell myself, and I'm going to stand in the middle of these creeps until they all die. And by doing this, basically makes it impossible for Jug to get over there to fuck with them, because Jug would have to run all the way over here to mess with them. So it's easier for Jug just to stay in the lane and min-max this as much as he can. He'll grab the creep waves that are left over, he'll drag them into large camp, he'll aggro them together, and then he'll make sure he gets every single last hit and deny. And by doing so, he kills a full creep and a neutral camp every wave. So Darkseer is going to be getting less net worth here than what Jug is, because Darkseer didn't block this camp, which maybe should have happened. Kuro has an observer ward here, he didn't block it. But on the bright side, look what else is happening. He's also Iron Shelling Kuro, so rather than Kuro stand in the lane to try to like Kuro basically can try to do what he did before. Stand in the lane, try to deny any of these creeps, try to potentially harass him in Double Man. But because he's a melee hero, it just doesn't work well. If he was like a ranged hero, he would absolutely have his ass planted in the lane here. He'd be right-clicking Jug every chance he gets, and he would be contesting these for last hits. But because he's Nyx Assassin, and he's a melee hero with very low average damage, he can't trade hits with him. If anything, he's just not going to be competitive in last hitting because Jug has 10 more damage right now, and he has a Quelling Blade, so there's like no way that he'll deny the creeps that Jug is going for. So the best thing he can do is maybe use his stun to steal last hits on neutral creeps or creeps. Well, there's no creeps, so he can't do that. He'd basically have to steal from neutral creeps. He'd have to try to deny. He's not going to be able to do that. So instead, he goes over here, and because there's a Darkseer will Iron Shell him, so that he'll be able to deal damage. AoE damage will be dealt to neutrals while he jungles. He's got above average HP regen, so he can actually get something done in the meantime. So while Darkseer cuts waves, he doesn't necessarily have to split experience with him. He can go jungle himself and hit level 2. Does that make sense? Why pick Juggernaut and Duelina? It's not necessarily about she's so good for him. It's not about Jug beating Lina.
Hooray!
It's about Jug laning well against Darkseer and Nyx. That's why they pick Juggernaut, probably. You can't always have a perfect pick that like beats all 5 heroes on the enemy team and gives you perfect laning solutions. Pros care a lot about the laning stage because it starts you off into a position where you can actually be competitive in the game. But if you get stomped in your lane, it doesn't matter that Jug is good against, or let's say who's good against Lina as a carry. I don't know, some like Ricky Maru or something. Not that they would necessarily pick that, but if you get shit on in your lane, it's like, who cares if Ricky's good against Lina? You're not going to have the net worth to be comparable with her anyways. So you're just thinking too much about the other aspects. See, he's going to got the last hits here. Kuro got a free level 2 on the creep wave here, and now he can go maybe pressure mid. Just as Kuro shows up, he goes to grab the Invis rune. A little unlucky. Ooh, the mana burn is smart. Burns 100 mana. He's trying to block him. Doesn't really know if he's successful or not. Puppy rotates over, throw a little harass in. Miracle has Orb of Venom now, which will allow him to bully Timbersaw a lot more. Because he lifesteals a pretty good amount, he'll be able to bully decently. Lifestealer's base damage quite weak these days, especially because they rush towards Maelstrom. So they don't really get any bracers or anything like that. That's one way you can beat lifesteal a little bit, is having high base damage as the offlaner. You can contest last hits a decent amount. Lowering his base strength as well is also helpful for that. Here's Darkseer still killing the creep waves. In the meantime, Jug doing the same thing, pulling the wave into the large camp. Hey look, he's doing it again. He's spinning because he wants to kill this faster now for whatever reason. He's also rushing Mask of Madness, which is quite good with Omni Slash. Seems like Mask of Madness stock has raised, and that's adjusting pro players' ideas of who they're picking. Our last is mid 16-6, 14-5, seems fine. As you can see, Jug and Darkseer are really farmed. Jug should be higher though. Yep, so he is. But he's up by 500. And that is all because they picked Juggernaut, because Juggernaut can make sure that he can get everything he fucking wants out of his lane. But he's also been killing neutral camps, so his net worth is just straight up going to be better. Mind Control still cutting creep waves. Puppy's still level 1 because him being in the tri lane hasn't really accomplished much. The A pick effectively didn't fit in their laning stage at all, but it does eventually make them good against IO, which is kind of important. And now because Puppy's at half HP, Mind Control ready to punish. Gets him. Pretty big kill. He missed the creep wave though, which is a bit of a downer for him, but getting a kill isn't terrible. Puppy's like, oh no, you killed a level 1 hero. He just wanted to follow him and make it like slightly harder for Mind Control to get lane stuff. And here's Matama Man still killing neutral camps by himself. Him getting that kill on Mind Control was actually pretty big for net worth differences, but so now he's got a creep wave finally. Kuro comes back because there's a wave for experience. He's trying to juke for... It's a pretty easy kill for Matama Man actually. With the 6 there. Spike Carapace only stops probably 1 slash of damage. It's not very good, but that was big for Matama Man. He's having a very good game here. Orbit Mask, Power Treads. You kind of need Power Treads to do good damage with Omni Slash now because it's based on your attack speed. Ooh. Mind Control donked his courier, dude.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack. Radiant's courier has been killed.
It's a pretty big loss. It's pretty sloppy from Matama Man. I would make that mistake 100 times as well. I'd probably make that mistake like 90 times out of 100, but for pro players that's tough. I mean, that's about the same time he'll get his quarterstaff. It's not the end of the world, but and he's got a salve, but just kind of good gold basically. Puppy still has literally nothing. Zai still virtually unkillable. And in the mid lane they're probably just trading farm still. Batrider's lower on in terms of farm, but not that far behind. No Talismans, max Napalm.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
Probably pulled the creep wave over here because he knew that Lina was coming over and he didn't want to be close to roll hitting creeps. Whereas if he stands here and keeps hitting them, then it's easier for them to rotate in and kill him. It's like one of those things, just like lowers the chances of their gank window hitting. Mind Control still cutting creep waves. He was putting Iron Shell on neutrals here too. He's got a TP, I think. No, I guess he has Lasso, huh? Really easy kill once he has haste. It's one good thing for the mid Batrider though, is that he was farming in this area. And what's the cool ward position? I mean, oh, this is so smart actually. Holy fuck. This is so fucking smart. So I'm looking at this ward and I'm like, why the fuck would you ward here? Like this. It's just gonna get dewarded with a sentry. Anyways. It's like, it's not even better than this ward. If you ward here, you see more, right? So why put this observer ward here? But the reality is that if you only put a sentry on top, the sentry only gives vision of this area. It won't give you vision of this area. So the only time this ward would be dewarded with a sentry is if they place an observer and a sentry here. Maybe this observer would catch vision here, but I'm guessing not. So if they put an observer and a sentry on this cliff, it will get dewarded. But if they only put the sentry there, it's only going to check the top spot and it won't see this ward. Very, very cool. That's super, super cool. So while it may look like a stupid ward, it's like a small adjustment that's like a very common place. It's very good on Radiant, more or less, because this is where Darkseer is going to play. And it's less likely it gets dewarded for free. Because it's very common to put a sentry up here or to put a sentry over here that catches this cliff spot, barely. That's another good point, actually, is that when people don't want to put a ward on the top, they'll put it like here, and the circle will catch like just the top. They'll catch this circle just here. So instead of placing a sentry like here, which would catch this little cliff area over here, it might only catch this. So even if they do have an observer ward up here, it's just a safer ward, basically. Worse players are typically going to put an observer ward on this cliff, but higher level players are typically not going to put a ward here because it's just really easy to. It's really common for people to deward it. It's like, oh, there's a cliff. Well, I got to make sure I at least catch that when I check for it. So this is a very, very cool observer ward. It's fun watching those little developments. Crow, in the meantime, doing everything he can to get any golden experience. It's not very farmed. He's definitely not been playing a effectively forward position next assassin. Has he been buying the wards too? I'm not sure. Probably not. I guess he's probably been buying the wards. But Nyx is not as good as a 5 as he is like as a Meteor Hammer Rusher, so I'm a little slightly confused. I would have definitely used Light Strike Array there. He did not because he did not need to. It wasn't worth the mana and the damage.
Radiant are scanning.
They're sitting back that way if he gets
Dire's top tower
disabled.
is under attack.
They don't get disabled too. That guy was, and that's the other reason they don't run up with 3 heroes. Like, there's no damn way that guy runs high ground if they all show, you know?
Dire's top tower has fallen.
That was cool. Just made it look like, oh, it's just a little Darkseer. No big deal. And Jug's like, I'm gonna Omni Slash the fuck out of that guy. Which he would have. Oh, very cool. God, every carry just builds Mask of Menace Crystallis now, I guess. Which is cool. It makes Omni Slash actually good. And this is basically the problem with Jug. Omni Slash. So that just feels really underwhelming. And it felt like as a carry, he just doesn't have an ulti. But if you go Mask of Menace, your attack speed increases massively when you Omni Slash, which means way more slashes. And then if you get a Crystallis afterwards, yes, the crit is stacked, which is a little bit inefficient. But the main benefit of Crystallis right now is the raw damage, actually. The raw damage is quite good. 45 damage for 2,000 gold. It's pretty solid. And yeah, it has a chance to crit. And yeah, you have a chance to crit here. And sometimes they're going to both proc, and then you only get one, in which case Blade Dance will proc instead. But it's probably really... We're going to see some really strong Omni Slashes, I'm sure.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
And until then, he's got a damn broadsword, which is not bad. So, Zai doing Timber Saw things in the top lane. Miracle struggling to get his Maelstrom here. Crow fucked up. Okay, it doesn't matter. He canceled his stun. He kind of really needed to hit with Vendetta. I forgot this does pure damage now, doesn't it? Actually, it would have been insane if he hit him with Vendetta. Pure damage and breaks him, so he doesn't get any more reactive armor procs. But realistically, he was already probably maxed on reactive armor, so it didn't matter that much. But 250 pure damage against a 1000 HP guy would have been really nice. He definitely should have hit him with it, but they had enough damage where it didn't matter. It's a little surprised Miracle was fighting in there, so kind of interesting, but Crow got there at the perfect time. Spike Carapace to guarantee the stun. Oh shit, somebody just died down here. That was fucking sick by mind control. He was so ready for that. 100% he dies otherwise. He just ultis the ground, and then he gets an illusion, and the damage gets split. You're just fucking asking him to do it, dude. He still got a lot of the slash. See how much damage that was with Mask of Menace? It's actually crazy good. Jug's back, man. That's cool play by mind control though. Very cool. A good use for Wall of Replica. Where normally there are not a lot of good uses. Omni Slash against Lifesteal is really good too, is another cool thing. Stun by Weehaw. I don't know, Kuro. Maybe you should have used your ulti here. He's got the stacks. He definitely should have used his ulti. Like, that was like 8 armor stacks. That's like 10 armor or something like that. He definitely should have used it. So they've spent all this time, now uses it here, which isn't that good either. Should have used it, probably. Good catch. Not the best spike carapace there. You know, spiked was already used, so. He's just standing on the wall. He's like, please go ahead, use your ult. Oh no! That's cool. It's like, yeah, attacking him is really not that helpful. Yep, so we're pushing out the other lane. Jug jungling with the powerful Iron Talon, a wonderful item now.
Hooray!
Thank you for the sub. Oh, shit, he had a dust. And he had a sentry too, actually.
Accept your death.
This is where Jug gets good, man. If you can get kills and while also farming, the hero becomes really effective. Just his laning was so bad before, you just get outlaned a lot. And then you don't have a game. Pretty low in mana, actually. Oh, interesting. He didn't want to give him the illusion.
I'll take that as tribute.
Ooh. Okay. Max and telekinesis. Going to S&Y next. Very cool. Sanj first, no more 10 damage. It's like, I'll fight you, see how that goes. Not going so great, actually. Doesn't really want to go in here. He got the faded brooch. It's a good spin. Doesn't have his ulti, so he's scared to go in. Good dodges. Oh man, this is the Juggernaut game. Jug versus Darkseer. It's back. Oh, you want Blade Fairy movement speed? Interesting. People don't really do that typically. If you're trying to chase somebody down, it makes a lot of sense. Dragon Scale is quite good. Oh, it's just a random Embrace on the ground here. Someone did not notice. So it must be Radiant Vambrace, I guess.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
Wonder if somebody will find it. Oh. It's bad timing for Yapsor here. I mean, he could have cancelled for sure. There's just like no way this fight goes well, right? That chase speed. Instantly kill the ward. Oh, he is very dead. He's almost alive with Blade Fury, but just got a little too excited there. Well, they actually killed Lina? Where did Lina go? She got infested. She heals herself. Gets nuked. Oh, Ice Blast. No. Nisha goes for the hunt, I guess. It's like, I'll vacuum onto the cliff. Oh, wait. Zai continues doing whatever he wants. Chug really needed the Astra in that fight.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
Nobody got the Vambrace yet. It's kind of a weird place for an item to be. We got Essence Ring. Pretty good IO item. Really good actually against AA. It's busted against AA actually. It's like the perfect item to get now against AA because it doesn't heal you anymore, it just increases your HP, which I believe works.
Radiant's middle tower is under attack.
I didn't run an ad. What are you talking about?
Radiant
Not me.
structures are fortified. Dire's top tower is under attack. Let us burn. Radiant are dead. Radiant's
Got SNY now, so it's really fast.
Radiant are scanning. Radiant
Still got Blink. Blink, a good item on Batrider. Health and armor.
Dire's structures are fortified.
He is so fast. 448 without Firefly.
Is under attack.
Shit's
Radiant's
crazy.
bottom tower has fallen.
Well, they get to slap buildings because they got a kill at the same time everyone is pushing. He pushes out top in the meantime because he knows they're not hard committing to mid.
Dire's middle tower is under attack.
He goes back to heal with the power of Boots of Travel. Needs to buy another TP though. Started buying something else now, buying BKB. He doesn't have to worry about getting Yules if he grabs somebody other than Lina. Somebody finding it? It's right there, Yapsor. Yapsor, it's right there. Yapsor. Okay. He will hold the Vambrace. He's ice blasted, so it's a little scary actually. Oh, he almost died. So close. perma slow. I was gonna say he needs a basher, but he's going Daedalus actually. It's kind of interesting to me that he hasn't gotten either Battle Fury or Maelstrom. But he's still farmed quite fast, and obviously a lot of that is just because of his laning stage going well and him getting a couple of kills. But I know based on this, I'm starting to think you just really don't need those AoE farming items on Jug, because you just farm so fast anyways because you have a good crit. You can AoE farm with Blade Fury, for example, with a little bit of mana. Like, seems like it's fine. It's lack of phase kind of fucking him here, but. And he's just gonna go Daedalus afterwards, so it's the crits will overlap, unfortunately, but it's a lot of raw damage. Using spin just to move places. 90 movement speed basically when he does that. So he's got two ways to move faster. Blade Fury spin and Mask of Madness. Maybe the attack speed's not that big of a deal, you know? It's a lot of damage, it's taking Dragon Skill too. The Jug Illusions are decent, but not super incredible, because he has a lot of raw damage. Maybe not a lot, but when he gets Daedalus, he will have a lot of raw damage. Ten armor now. He got so fucked, actually, by that creep. I'm pretty sure he jumped to that creep. The creep died and he got Light Strike already stunned, even though his Omni Slash just kept going. It was a great Omni. It, like, stopped bouncing, I feel like. Let's watch for the jump thing. He like stopped jumping. That should have been a kill 100%. But apparently this distance is too big. See, part of it is that he jumped to the opposite side, which when you Omni Slash, you go back forward, back forward, back forward like this. So when he jumped to the creep, he went bottom. And then the next jump, I guess, he was a little bit too far to be able to jump again, so it just stopped jumping. And then because of this, the Light Strike already happened to hit him. But this should have been just like a solo death, you know? But he accidentally pulled this creep because he right-clicked an enemy hero. It stopped. He gets stunned. He should be getting his butt beat up right now. He ends up getting relocated back and lives. They're going to kill Kuro, but that should have been a dead lifestealer. And he probably would have had buyback, but you know, at least he would have had to use it then. I'm trying real hard to kill the Darkseer, but it's hard. Just the spin. Like really needs a basher, I feel like.
Radiant are scanning.
I just feel like he needs Abyssal Blade or something because he's having slight movement speed problems. And he's like, when he Mask of Madness and hits people, it's really powerful, but they just fucking walk away is the problem. That's a really good item for AA in my opinion. Super good. People really liking the Vambrace, the cheap HP. How did this start? Orb of Destruction. Now they're like, oh shit, we didn't actually want that. Easy kill there. He's giving up on Io because he's going to relocate back. Kind of curious why I went Dragon Scale, to be honest. It's good against buildings, I guess, maybe why, but does he have better options? He really doesn't. It's like Vambrace or Growbow's bad. I think he's just got it because there's not really good options this time. Growbow's not good, straight up here. It's 10 attack speed. The magic resistance reduction is kind of good with Blade Fury, but it's not worth getting. Looking for the Omni. What's that? Siege damage. Ooh, bad time to Omni Slash. He Omni'd after he got halberded. Ooh. That was such a big stun. A big stun. These fights have been so weird, kind of. It's like everybody doesn't have very good disable, kind of. It's like very slow. Like Jug has just been able to like walk around and auto attack for so much. It's kind of bizarre fights, it feels like. Like there's so many positioning things to worry about. Getting lassoed or something else. It's made it kind of bizarre. You should be attacking them back and forth. Yep, to apply afterburn to both. Yep, perfect. He wants to kill it for the gold. It's really close. Maybe my Mask of Menace sniper build can be back on the menu now that they buff Mask a bunch. 15 damage, 10 attack speed, 20% life steal. There's the Basher. He's got the bashes. Alright. Game is over. It's over. Oh, they call it GG. I didn't even notice, but alright, cool. Let's run some ads and then I'll watch some more.